Oceans are known not only to occupy most of the planet's surface, they cover 70% of it, but also for hosting the largest amount of unexplored life. Raw material for the imagery of many legends and stage for countless film productions. There is still a lot to discover about our seas. Here are 10 not so popular curiosities about them. 1. They are not, in fact, blue. Have you ever wondered why the sea water is not blue when we put it in a PET bottle? The fact that the oceans have this color is due to the sun, especially the incidence of light on the water surface. The lighter wavelengths, like red and orange, are absorbed faster by the surface, while the blue wavelengths go deeper into the sea. This makes the bluish color predominate over the other tones. Closer to some islands and beaches, the shade tends to become greenish. This is because in these regions it is common the existence of marine flora composed of yellowish pigments, such as algae and bacteria, which modify the final equation, blue plus yellow equals green. 2. The internet depends on them. We are often used to seeing the limits of the internet infrastructure as far as where our provider's cables come out of the wall. But there is much more behind it. Your Spotify streams, the last videos you watched on YouTube, or your recent purchase on Amazon probably traveled over extended cables, over thousands of kilometers at the bottom of the oceans. Without this underwater mega intercontinental connection, the internet we know would not be possible. 3. There are rivers and lakes below the surface. In places where there is an accumulation of salt crusts under the ocean floor, water acts as a puncturing agent, gradually opening holes and dissolving the salt from them. Extremely salty water accumulates on the bottom because it is denser than the surrounding water, forming rivers or lakes sharply divided. Some of them are so similar to real rivers that they have banks, currents, and even waves. In these environments, the presence of huge amounts of mussels and small adapted crustaceans that feed on extremophile bacteria is common. Given the lack of light in such deep places, bacteria, in turn, convert saltwater methane into energy, a rare process that we see in nature. 4. More than 20 million tons of gold reside in the seas. There is today the equivalent of 2.5 kilos of gold for each inhabitant of the planet. Do the math, we have already added 7.5 billion people. Incredibly, according to more recent estimates, all gold mined to date represents only about 2% of the total gold in the seas. 5. The largest waterfall in the world is not on the continents. In the dispute for who had the largest waterfall in the world, Venezuela, long ago, was victorious with its Salta Angel, of 979 meters. However, to the surprise of many, the real winner was a long way from land. At 3,505 meters high and almost 5 million cubic meters per second, the Danish Strait waterfall has a flow equivalent to 2,000 Niagara Falls together. Located in the Atlantic, between Greenland and Iceland, the waterfall is formed through the temperature difference that exists on each side of the strait. Arctic water from the Greenland Sea meets that of the Irminger Sea, and falls because it is colder and denser. 6. The most remote point on the planet is in the Pacific. The Pacific is by far the largest of all oceans, twice the size of the runner-up, the Atlantic. What makes him the perfect candidate to host the most remote and isolated place on the globe? Named Ponto Nemo, it is so far from any inhabited land, 2,700 kilometers to be more specific, that the closest people are usually astronauts. The International Space Station orbits at a height of 416 km above the point. To be considered a pole of inaccessibility, a location must be equally distant from 3 points of land. In the case of Nemo, we have Ducie Island, one of the British Pitcairn Islands, to the north, Motu Nui, belonging to Easter Island, to the northeast, and Mar Island, in Antarctica, to the south. 7. Most volcanic eruptions occur underwater. About 80% of Earth's volcanic eruptions, spread among the more than 1 million volcanoes, active and extinct, splash their lava into the oceans. And there is possibly much more that our scientific limitations have failed to reach. The most incredible thing is that there is life in these places, even in such extreme conditions. The water pressure equals the weight of half a car for each square centimeter. The temperature of the freezing water contrasts with the 400 degrees Celsius of the lava that comes out of the chimneys, not to mention the amount of toxic elements, like hydrogen sulfate, expelled by volcanoes and harmful to most species. 8. They keep us breathing. The Amazon is popularly known for its lung of the world jargon, but in fact, that title belongs to the oceans. Marine plants, especially phytoplankton, seaweed, and seaweed plankton, are responsible for 70% of all oxygen produced. 9. The biggest waves break under the surface. Giant waves are very rare because they depend on specific conditions to happen, such as earthquakes or massive landslides or ice. The largest ever recorded, 30.4 meters high, was formed in Alaska in 1958, due to an earthquake and consequent landslide. Other than that, the largest natural waves do not exceed 25 meters. However, in the depths of the South Pacific, colossal waves of more than 250 meters have already been found that form on the threshold of 2 layers of water of different densities. In the oceanic flow, the coldest and most salty water in the deepest layer rises due to ridges on the bottom of the sea, rising over the warmer water layer and thus forming waves. The whole process, however, takes about an hour to complete. 10. Shells don't sound like the ocean. Destroying the beliefs of many in childhood, the sound we hear when putting a seashell to our ear is not from the ocean, even though it coincidentally sounds like the sound of crashing waves. What we are hearing, in fact, is noise. Yes, the noise around us is often unnoticed because it is very low. The shell works as an amplifier, or more precisely as a resonator, increasing the volume enough so that the noise is audible. *. This text is authored by Diogo Souza.